Welcome into the Locked On Packers midweek edition of the Squad Show. I am your host. My name is Brandon Sneide. And is this just another regular season game, or does this one mean a little more come Sunday night?
I'm Peter Bukowski, host of Locked On Packers. And baby, I want the Packers, whether they do it to the media or not, behind closed doors, I want them to lean into the hate. Feel the hate flow through them. Let's go.
Oh, that's dirty right there. I'm Coach Jags, man. Road warriors again. You want to be a good team? Do it on the road.
Go Pack Go! It's the Packers Squad. Everything Green Bay Packers every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from Titletown. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. From the frozen tundra with all the cheeseheads, the Packers Squad Show starts now.
Locked On Packers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Follow the podcast on Twitter at Locked On Packers. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe to the podcast, Apple, Google, Spotify, wherever you find podcasts. You will certainly find the Locked On Packers, the number one Packers podcast on the internet. The show for fans who know what happened, they want to know why and how. As always, thank you to each and every one of you who has made Locked On Packers your first listen each and every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your first $5 bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Gentlemen, prime time this week. The 4-1-1 Green Bay Packers back under the bright lights. Sunday Night Football against the 4-2 Steelers. Jordan Love is heating up. Josh Jacobs is rolling. And the number one team currently NFC has a chance to show the whole league they are for real. But here's the real question we're going to answer throughout the course of the show. Who does this game mean more to? Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback for the Steelers, or the Green Bay Packers? We'll give our take on that as the show goes on. And later on, we'll dive into the group chat and we'll take a look at a tight NFC North race as well. But first things first, as I mentioned, it is Packers, it is Steelers, it is Aaron Rodgers, and it is prime time in Pittsburgh. Peter, you mentioned it at the tease. How big of a matchup is this one for our green and gold?
It would be a huge game regardless of who played quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That is just true. You play a legacy franchise, a 4-2 legacy franchise on Sunday Night Football on the road. It is going to be a big game, period, full stop, end of story. And for this team, like, given the state of the Packer fandom currently about the kvetching about, oh, they're not blowing out these teams. I wish they would do this. I wish they would do that. It would just be nice to see them go out and beat a pretty good team. I think the Steelers are not quite as good as their record would indicate, but they're a pretty good team. And so that would be a big game regardless. The Aaron Rodgers stuff, we cannot pretend it doesn't matter. And I love that David Bakhtiari said in an interview earlier this week, like, they're going to say all the right things, right, Coach? Like the coaches are going to say, Jordan Love is going to say, Aaron Rodgers is going to say, it's just another game. Screw that. It is not just another game. And I for one, I know what Aaron Rodgers is going to do, Coach. He is going to let it fuel him. He is a petty MFer. And that is what makes him such a great competitor. That it really is. And so I want the Packers to feel that same energy, that same fire in their belly to go, let's go beat the you-know-what out of this team and show, hey, we're doing great. We're doing fine without you, Aaron. Thank you. You were a great player here for a long time. We're fine.
Yeah, it's going to be an emotional game no matter what, and you can't deny that, right? You're talking about like the storied franchises, the Steelers and the Packers. Whoever's playing quarterback, it's going to be a great game. But it still goes back. We talked about a couple weeks ago about like Cincinnati, and they're not very good. Well, they beat the Steelers.
Sure did.
You know, so. Anybody can beat anybody, but I think it's going to be an emotional deal. Is Aaron Rodgers a competitive guy? About as competitive a quarterback as I've ever been around. He is.
You would know, Coach. You would know. You would know.
He is very, very competitive. And I remember we were in a meeting one time, and I said something to him, kind of smart ass, and he kind of like went back at me, but he's super competitive.
And that would have had to have been in his earlier years too, right?
It was before he was even a starter.
Yeah,
is when it was. But I really enjoyed being around him, and we were sharing it before. Brandon McCarthy, I asked him when I had left, and I said, "How good is he?" He goes, Jags, he's the best I've ever had. And just think of the quarterbacks Mike had. He had Joe Montana.
I was going to say, he coached Joe Montana.
Right? I mean, gold jacket, right? Favre, gold jacket. This guy's going to be obviously a gold jacket. So he said, he's the best I ever had. So that just says something about Aaron Rodgers, what kind of player he was.
Talking about what's going to happen on the field, Peter, is this a game where if you're head coach Matt LaFleur, and you got to give a lot of credit to the Steelers, right? I mean, I think for me, they've played above expectations. I didn't really know what to expect with Aaron Rodgers going in to Pittsburgh. I know he had a good year in year 2 in New York, but you weren't sure. DK Metcalf over there in Pittsburgh. Now, if you're head coach Matt LaFleur, how aggressive do you get early on in this game for Jordan Love, for your offense? Do you open up the playbook, or are you going into this game leaning on that run game? Now, keep in mind, it's a pretty stout defensive front for the Pittsburgh Steelers. If you're Matt LaFleur, how aggressive are you going into this game and maybe allowing Jordan Love to make a statement early in this one and settle into the ball game?
So one of the reasons why I would like to see them let the hate flow through them to channel Emperor Palpatine here, and we'll forget for the moment how that movie ends, and how the hatred affects those people. But like, I want to see the aggressiveness. I want to see them come out and throw the ball all over the yard and let Jordan Love cook a little bit, even if that is, more underneath throws. I've been talking about that on Locked On Packers, about wanting to get the quick game going a little bit more. But this is a team, and I was talking to Chris Carter, our Locked On Steelers host, about this. It is the balanced teams that have tended to give Pittsburgh the most trouble. Right now, they are 24th in DVOA, which is efficiency adjusted for schedule. 24th against the rush. They let Chase Brown run all over them. If they allow this to be a game where Josh Jacobs can average 5 yards a carry, I don't know what they're going to do, because this is a team right now that, they're giving up explosive plays all over the field. Joe Flacco was only throwing to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and they were late in the fourth quarter, Jags. Jamar Chase is running free over the middle of the field. I'm like, how can this possibly? They threw the ball to him 23 times in this game, and they still are letting him loose in that secondary. This is just not the kind of disciplined Mike Tomlin team we're used to seeing here. And so if they can play balanced, Matt LaFleur is just so good at finding ways to poke at you and take advantage of all that stuff. I feel like there's a lot of ways for the Packers to attack this Pittsburgh Steelers team.
The thing is, I had an old ball coach I had one time. He goes, Jags, believe what you see. Yeah. What you're going to see is exactly what you've seen for the last 6 games. That's who that guy is. And I know a lot of times, like the fans, and even like here on our show here, going like, well, he needs to do this more. He needs to do it. He's going to be who he is. And just think about all the 7 years. You guys have been around him for 7 years. Has he really changed much as a coach, as a play caller? I think you have a personality.
He's morphed the scheme, and I think that's part of like who he is his ability to be malleable. But is he going to like suddenly be a guy who's going to throw the ball 75% of the time in a game like Mike would? Like Mike McCarthy would do that. There were times when like if they couldn't get a positive run in the first 2 drives, he'd just say, F it. Like, we're not running the ball again. Like, just give the ball to Aaron. And Matt is not like that. LaFleur is just not going to be that way. But I also don't think that I don't know that he has to, guys. Like, this defense, it's just it's not your slightly older brother's Pittsburgh Steelers defense. It's just not.
I don't think that LaFleur got up in front of the team this week and goes, guys, we're throwing it 60 times. We're letting Love eat. That's just not who he is, and he is patient. LaFleur is patient with the run game, which is good. I think it's good, because when you start just having to force it, just be who you are. Call the game on who you are and what your players are best at, and they're going to be successful, which they have been this year.
They're about as balanced as it gets. I think I saw 177 pass attempts versus 176 rush attempts this season. So they're as balanced as they get. You guys have mentioned Aaron
Rodgers.
Me.
You guys know it bugs me.
It bugs me too. And we're gonna
bugs you, Peter.
We're gonna get into the group chat, because I'm gonna back myself up into the group chat from Sunday. We're gonna revisit that chat. But you mentioned Aaron Rodgers. Both of you did. I mentioned Aaron Rodgers. We all mentioned Matt LaFleur. The head coach spoke today at the podium about this matchup. Let's dive real quickly into the locker room. And then when this is done, we'll react to what head coach Matt LaFleur said after today's practice in Green Bay.
He looks like he can still do anything. I What's surprising for such an old man, he's still moving around pretty good too. So you've seen it in multiple games. I mean, he had an off schedule the other day versus Cincinnati where they drop 8, and he's running back and forth the field, throws a touchdown pass. Obviously, the one to Freiermuth, that 70-yarder he got out of the pocket, made a hell of a throw on that one. The arm strength is still plenty there. You see it you especially saw it on the Hail Mary. I mean, I don't know many guys that can throw the ball over 70 yards in the air. I'm not quite sure how far it went, but had to have been at least 70 yards. It's still pretty impressive what he can do. He can throw with pinpoint accuracy. There was one, I know the ball ended up getting picked off, but it's 2-man on DK, and he threads the needle, and the DB just ripped it away. But it was a great pass. It's just, this guy is extremely accurate, and he can, if you give him just a sliver of light, he can fit the ball in there.
Coach Matt LaFleur there after Wednesday's practice talking about his former quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. Coach, a lot of compliments there for head coach Matt LaFleur towards Aaron Rodgers, and I wouldn't expect anything less. But Matt, as a competitor, it's an emotional game. How difficult, you've been in those situations, you've returned to places you've coached at. How difficult is it? How big of a struggle is it to maintain what you're good at, what you've done? You mentioned, the balance attack versus I want to put my foot on this team's throat and not let up and let those emotions get the best of you. How difficult, maybe it's not difficult, or a battle it is with those emotions going into a game like we're going to see Sunday night.
Yeah, I think it should be very, very emotional. And you could kind of tell when you're listening to him talk, he's got still a lot of admiration for Aaron, a lot. He knows what he can do. Even though Aaron's at the end of his career, he is still super, super productive. And you could just tell the admiration coming out of his mouth talking about him still. And, Aaron, his time in Green Bay was over. It's like Brett's time in Green Bay was over, and the next guy was up. So I think it's going to be an emotional deal, but once it's kicked off, you got to just do what you do.
Peter, take the quarterbacks out of this one. Take Aaron Rodgers out of it. Take Jordan Love out of it. The biggest X factors for the Packers to come out of Sunday night with the victory. What has to happen in order for that to happen?
They have to tackle well. This is the number 1 yard after catch defense in the NFL, and they are the number 1 defense in not allowing big plays. They do not allow explosive plays, and those things are related, right, Coach? Like if you're not going to allow explosives, you have to be a good tackling team. If you allow a team to throw a 6-yard slant and it turns into a 16-yard play, or as DK Metcalf is capable of doing, an 80-yard touchdown, that's a big damn problem. And so this is the Aaron Rodgers conundrum in this game. How are you going to get pressure on him? Because when you pressure him, you can rattle him, but he gets the ball out as quick as anyone in the NFL right now. Oh, yeah. And everything they do is underneath. And he also, and Coach, I've never seen a quarterback throw 3-step go balls as much or as well as Aaron Rodgers. He calls it a transition go route. He'll just, from the gun, it's not even 3 steps. It's like 2 steps, set up, throw. Yep. And he can just put the ball wherever he wants. If you are able to tackle, though, effectively, you really make things difficult, because I find it hard to believe any team is going to be, even one, quarterbacks by petty Aaron Rodgers is going to be consistent enough over the course of a game to make that all work. If they can prevent the explosives and tackle well, that's the key to me. And I know, Brandon, you said take the quarterbacks out of it, but that's the point. Well, you're taking the quarterbacks out of it a little bit if you're able to do that, because you're making it, hey, skill guys, you got to go make plays. And if you can't, then it's going to be a long day.
I had mentioned this before, like the different platforms he throws off of Aaron. Brett was the same way. He's just like, how did he even get that thing off? But Aaron's arm strength is so strong, and his accuracy on a deep ball is uncanny. And that's one of the reasons he's been so damn successful in his career, is he's been able to place balls where a lot of other quarterbacks couldn't do it, off of a crappy set, off of just like, all right, I'm taking 2 steps and throwing a go ball. Yeah. And you ever see his,
my toes might not even be on the ground.
Exactly. And the thing is, he almost like just flicks it, and the guy's throwing it for 45 yards. It's uncanny. But I'll tell you what, this number 10 that we've got, you're seeing a lot of that in him too. A lot.
Matt LaFleur said the same thing. He
was
like, that there's a lot of similarities in some of the mannerisms and that stuff. Coach, I don't know if you've heard this story before, but you were in Green Bay when this happened. So I'm curious. So Bruce Feldman has this great book I think it's called Just the Quarterback. And in it, he tells the story of Rodgers watching Favre in practice and seeing all of these crazy throws that he would make off platform, falling over, running to his left, running to his right. And he got with his trainer and he said, we're going to rep this until I can do it, until I can do anything I need to. And he made it a skill, like Steph Curry shooting half court shots or shooting, running shots, all these different things that Steph can do. He did that because he was like, Brett is just out there hooping. Like he's just out playing by feel and guile and guts. And Rodgers, he basically like algorithmed it. He was like, I'm going to practice these things like Kyrie Irving and crazy layups until I can do all of it. And it's not preternatural with him. It's not God-given. He skilled it. He repped it and became what we saw. And I don't know if you've heard that story, but I just think that's an incredibly cool thing to be true.
Yeah. I've never heard that. I never heard that story, but just think how many years did he play behind Brett? 3?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. Same thing with Love, right? Is that how many it took
Correct
to get there?
Yep.
And just, could you imagine just sitting there and absorbing all of that knowledge and just watching a guy perform and then be able to mimic some of the stuff that made him that great player? I mean, this is the 3rd generation away with Love. It's crazy.
And Love,
it would be a lot of pressure too, though, wouldn't it, Brandon?
It would be. And that's the point I was going to get to Coach's point, that Aaron Rodgers won 2 MVPs while Jordan Love was sitting back there with the clipboard.
Which he made sure to point out in his press conference yesterday.
He absolutely
did. Really?
We'll get to Aaron Rodgers' press conference. He had a lot of good things to say, but it will certainly be an emotional matchup come Sunday night. The one team Aaron Rodgers has not beaten in his career, led by the quarterback he took under his wing. The question begs to be answered: who does this game mean more to? We debate that coming up right after this. Today's Locked On Packers Squad Show is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you do not want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. It makes watching football even more exciting when you got a little something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or you love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the app today. Once again, place that first $5 bet. If it hits, you'll get $300 in bonus bets. Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today to get started. Once again, FanDuel.com. The 4-1-1 Green Bay Packers on the road once again. Sunday Night Football, prime time. Aaron Rodgers versus Jordan Love. Peter, I know where you're going to go with this one, but I'm going to ask anyway. On Sunday, who does this game mean more to? Aaron Rodgers or the Green Bay Packers?
The Packers have to be careful with this one because the answer is not even close. It's Aaron Rodgers. Because win, lose, or draw on Sunday, the Packers are a Super Bowl contender, and they will be for the next 2 or 3 years. They're the youngest team in the NFL. They just added Micah Parsons. The runway is long for this team. Now, the pressure is going to be big, but the runway is long. This is it for Aaron Rodgers. This is his chance to add himself to the pantheon, to have beaten every team in the NFL, to beat the team that said, thanks, but no thanks, Aaron. It's just, of course, going to mean more. The Packers wanted to move on. Jordan Love wanted to play. Matt LaFleur was comfortable going to Jordan Love and saying bye to Aaron Rodgers. The Packers all got what they wanted. It was Aaron Rodgers who I think he wanted to move on. I know he wanted to move on. He said he wanted to move on, but I'm sure he wanted the Packers to want him to stay, and they didn't. And so he's the guy that's got something to prove here, that he can still play, that he can still do this, that the Packers made a mistake, not wanting to, keep him, all that stuff. And so I just think there's way more on the line here, and there's way more incentive for Jordan Love, for Aaron Rodgers. I usually do that in the other way. And so it's not even close. And so how much does one player's attitude about it affect the game? I don't know. We've seen Aaron Rodgers and see pettiness fuel him. This is the guy who once drank a a grape soda after beating the Minnesota Vikings.
So
like
awesome.
at the podium. Like we know the pettiness level of this guy. It's off the chart. He once told a stadium full of Bears fans, "I own you all my life. I've owned you." Like, come on. Come on. You know,
those are different though. Those are different.
Yeah, but it is. But we know that the level of pettiness that this man in his body holds, like it really is. Now, Coach, we heard Rodgers say, absence makes the heart grow fonder. I mean, he said that to reporters in Pittsburgh yesterday. And like that stands out to me, Brandon, as someone who I think.
Oh, do you want to hear from him? Do you want to hear from the man himself?
Let's do it.
Coach, this is Aaron Rodgers. This is today, courtesy of Brooke Pryor out there in Pittsburgh covering the NFL for ESPN. This is former Packers and now current Steelers quarterback Aaron Rodgers.
I don't have any animosity toward the organization. Obviously, I wish that things have been better in our last year there, but I have a great relationship with a lot of people still in that organization, and this is not a revenge game for me. I'm just excited to see some of those guys and be on Sunday Night Football again.
Have your feelings toward the organization evolved the longer you've been away from them, that not feeling animosity? Is that something you kind of had to work to feel, or work to get to this point?
We're always working on ourselves and trying to be better than we were previous day, previous month, previous year. But absence makes the heart grow fonder, maybe. I have a lot of great memories from my time there. A lot of great interactions with fans over the years, living in Green Bay, living in Swamico, living in Hobart, going to Chives, being out and about, seeing people at the Piggly Wigglies when I'm shopping for groceries. I grew up there. I spent 18 years there, from 21 to 39, so I'm thankful for my time there. Obviously, would have loved to ride off in the sunset after a Super Bowl win, but that's not the way the league goes sometimes. And, I knew the writing was on the wall when Jordan was picked. And as a matter of time, I happened to win MVP the first 2 years he was with us. But I knew at some point there would be a change, and if I wanted to play, it'd probably have to be elsewhere. So I understand the situation.
That is Steelers quarterback Aaron Rodgers, former Packers quarterback. And I don't know about you guys. Coach, you were there for the transition, or at least part of Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. Mm-hmm. Can you talk about what that was like, what the building was like during those times? Because it was vastly different. We fast forward a handful of years, but you were there with Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. What was that like in the building?
It's just amazing how history repeats itself. When Ted Thompson made that move to get rid of Brett, right, to make way for Aaron, now they had to make way for Love. I don't think that the relationship was very good. I think Brett felt like they brought Aaron in to replace him too. Any competitor, you're gonna go like, nah, I don't think so. And I heard it was a little bit different with Aaron and Love, that Aaron did take him under his wing. Brett wanted nothing to do with that. And there was a little bit of animosity to it, and it's kind of like that little brother you want to take along, but you really don't want him there. That's kind of how that was with Aaron and Brett. And it wasn't ugly, but he just wasn't going to go out of his way to make sure that he was tucked in and got his milk and cookies like everybody else. He wasn't like that. He didn't, and
there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like,
no, it was all respectful. They were respectful of each other, but he didn't feel it was his job to be his mentor. He goes, that's not my job description, pretty much.
Brandon, can I say something nice about Aaron Rodgers?
I would love for you to do that, Peter. I'm going to bookmark this and
timestamp it. Make sure we clip it.
And this is going to be a new drop. Go for it. All yours.
It is remarkable to me that, for as resentful of the decision to draft Jordan Love as Aaron Rodgers obviously was, he made no secret. He was pretty upset about the fact that they drafted a quarterback in 2020 instead of a receiver or someone that could help them win the Super Bowl coming off a 13-win season. It is hard for me to fathom how he could have been that mad about it and somehow never took it out on Jordan Love, which it seems like he didn't. It seems like he did truly the opposite, where he said, I resent the hell out of the fact that the Packers picked you, and yet I will never take it out on you. That seems, just from a human standpoint, impossible to fathom. And Truly, what a mature way to handle it. I mean, I've never really thought about it in those terms until the last like 48 hours. The more that I thought about it, I was just sort of like, it's actually crazy that they're still friends. And Rodgers did take care of him and never wanted him to go through what he went through with Brett Favre, which I think, Coach, to your point, Brett never wanted to have the little brother, but it does seem like Aaron kind of always wanted to have the big brother. He wanted Favre to want to help him, to want to be there for him. And it seems like he was hurt that that's not how it was. And it seems like they've moved past it. They're friends now. They've done all that stuff, but it can't be unsaid that what Aaron Rodgers did for Jordan Love is an act of selflessness that in other parts of his life we've not seen. And I applaud him for it. And I think that is a really cool bit of leadership from Aaron Rodgers. Okay, I'm back.
Yeah. Well, good. Did you get that timestamp, Brandon?
That was great. It
really was. But I'll tell you this, though. You kind of just saw in that interview how Aaron was expressing himself, that he really did love Green Bay. I mean, yeah. I mean, he did so much. I mean, his name's going to be on the Ring of Honor and all that too. And I think that was very mature of the way he's handled that. But here's a lot of times you can go either two ways. And I'm just going to give you a story about like graduate assistants, right? A lot of times you're a graduate assistant, you're just starting to learn how to coach, and then you'd have that guy in the staff that just wants to crap all over you just because he was shit on. Sorry about the language, but he was crapped on. And you know what? Aaron decided to go, not that he was dumped on, but he just decided to go the other way. He goes, you know what? I got a lot to offer this kid, and I'm going to do the very best I can to make sure this guy's successful, which just says a ton about Aaron.
Doesn't it also, I think, to your point, Coach, like the idea that he cared about the Packers, it does seem like one of the reasons why you do that with Jordan Love is because you care about leaving the organization in a better place than you found it. That it mattered to him that Jordan Love was in a position to succeed when he left, because he knew he was going to leave. Like that is foresight and a consideration that plenty of quarterbacks would not take up. Like Joe Flacco famously said, "I'm not here to be anyone's mentor." Ben Roethlisberger said, "I'm not here to help anybody else play quarterback except me." Like we've seen veteran guys just say, "I'm not doing it. I'm not going to do that." And Aaron Rodgers refused to do that. And it has paid off. Like Jordan Love has talked about all of the different ways just by sort of osmosis. Like I mentioned the cadence stuff, Coach. Watching him draw people off sides and get free plays. There's no way he's as good at that as he is, Jordan Love, without watching the greatest to ever do it in Aaron Rodgers. And there's no way Aaron Rodgers is as good at it as he is if he didn't see Brett Favre, who was also the king of the cadence. And so this is like genetics. This is being passed down from generation to generation because because Green Bay does things differently with quarterbacks.
You know that snap count hasn't changed in 3 decades?
That's crazy.
It is, right? I mean,
and they still get teams on it.
They do, but everybody they may use different color or number, but 30 years, guys, that's what the same cadence and everything. And I think that Aaron's doing that in with the Steelers too, that same snap count.
He's from the gun, because on Thursday he was using Ready Go. And I wondered if that, because they were on the road in Cincy, I was like, is that Aaron? I couldn't quite tell on the Thursday night microphones if that was a guard, because the center's mic'd up too. And so they have that like the hand motion. So I didn't know if that was Rodgers or what. And I guess I was not listening for it under center, but I was like, that's weird that he's saying Ready Go. I've never heard him say Ready Go before, but I don't know if that was him or that was a silent count for the guard.
Yeah. Well, he's going to try to get Parsons on a heavy count.
He's going to do it. It's so funny you said that, because I told Chris Carter on our crossover show, we've already recorded it for tomorrow. I said, like, if FanDuel would set the odds at -250, he gets Micah Parsons on the hard count. Like, he will get free playoff Micah in this game.
And I bet you it's not going to be like a double count. It's going to be a triple count, because it's going to be different, right? Blue 80, Blue 8, Blue 80. He's going to do it again. It'll be on the third count, which, if Parsons is going to do his very best to get a jump on everybody, right? I think
it's not a great offensive line, Coach.
Yeah, well, you saw those tackles last week. They better have some help out there with Parsons, or I said it last week, that it's really bad coaching if you don't have that.
This one just feels a lot different, though, than the previous matchups with Brett Favre in Minnesota, though. And it goes to a lot of the things you guys have both been saying about Aaron Rodgers taking Jordan Love under his wing, and not just the Jordan Love stuff, but the way he has spoken about Green Bay in general, about the organization in general. And I know we heard him right there with that snippet saying, you know, time makes the heart grow fonder and you know, and stuff like that. And it to me, it just feels a lot different. But I do have this question, Peter. If the Packers do win this one on national TV on Sunday, do you think this closes that chapter and it feels like it's the cloud still over the head? There's still some people unsure about Jordan Love. There's still some people that doubted that draft pick in 2020. But if Jordan Love goes out there and, hypothetically speaking, goes out there and the Green Bay Packers, he leads them to a victory over the Steelers, can we officially close that chapter? Now, I know a lot of fans probably already have, maybe you have as well, but do you think in general that fans can close that chapter on Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay?
No.
Why?
Unless this season ends in Santa Clara and more to the point, ends with a parade in Green Bay in mid-February. That's the difference. And remember, the first time the Packers played Brett Favre and the Vikings, Brett lit them up. And the second time the Packers played Brett Favre and the Vikings, Brett lit them up. It wasn't until 2010 that the Packers beat the Vikings with Brett Favre. And what happened in 2010? They go on and they win the Super Bowl, right?
It also helped the year before what Brett did in Minnesota.
Right, but this is what I'm saying. So you have the rematch. Favre, when all the fans, I think that was worse, Coach, with fans going, we're going to go to this guy, Aaron Rodgers. This is the guy we're going to, because there was, I think that was at the time more acrimonious early on, and the machinations of, I'm going to come back, I'm not going to come back, you're okay, they're going to trade me, all that stuff. And then he wants to go to the Vikings. Come on, like that I think created a very different environment. But there were still, there were Wisconsin sports fans in purple 4 jerseys for years after that. Brandon, you were there, you remember?
Yep.
And so, like, that
was not one of them, though, but I was there.
But you did not see green 8 jerseys around Wisconsin.
True.
And you have not seen the silver and black, or the yellow and black the same way. And so it's just different. But again, he's still always going to be the player that was taken instead of T. Higgins, or instead of, they could have traded up one more spot and gotten Brandon Ayuk. He's always going to be that to a certain group of fans until they win a Super Bowl. And if Jordan Love wins a Super Bowl, then the chapter is fully closed, and only then, and even then, some fans are still going to be dicks about it, but those people are unreachable. It doesn't matter.
The thing is about the 2 other guys that we're talking about, 3 quarterbacks tonight, but what Brett and Aaron had were longevity. Here's the thing, though, and everybody's excited about Love, but just think of what those other 2 guys did over such a long period of time. And this is just his 3rd year, and we all think he's a really good quarterback, but time will tell how good he's really going to be.
Yeah, and we're not saying he's going to be the next Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre either, but he does seem to be the franchise guy. So we Packer fans are spoiled when it comes to that stuff. Like, franchise quarterback in Green Bay has been one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the NFL for 30 years. And so,
is that amazing?
We're just kind of like going, well, what do you mean he's not, like, obviously one of the 5 best guys in the league? Like, that's great. And I actually think he is this year. I think he has been very, very, very good this year. And my take before the year, guys, I think yours, Brandon, was the Edgerrin Cooper thing. Mine was, by the end of the year, it will be consensus that he's one of the 6 or 8 best quarterbacks in the NFL. I don't know how you can not feel that way right now, having watched him play.
Yeah, he's on his way. He's on his way to that
high level. Yeah, he's doing that.
He doesn't have to be Aaron Rodgers to make this pick worth it either.
No, he's still 70%, right?
Just under. I think it's 69.3 to be exact. But
Coach,
again,
I got a stat for you. If you haven't listened to today's Locked On Packers, do you know what Jordan Love is completing on throws in 2.5 seconds or less? Do you know what his completion percentage is on quick throws?
Here's the thing that I've got just to question you, Peter. These stats, where you get these things from?
So this one is next gen. So they track every throw.
Let them know, coach. Let them know.
Because it's like you got all of these things. I go, where does this guy?
He's our stat guy. He's our graph guy. He's the graph guy. He's the numbers guy. You're the X's and O's guys. And I tell you,
it's great though. But I want to hear this. So 2.5 seconds or less. What is it?
89%. He leads the NFL in complete. He's completing almost 90% of his throws in 2.5 seconds or less. The quick passing game has always been a staple of this West Coast offense. And he's had the second fewest attempts is the problem. So only Justin Fields among preferred starters has attempted fewer passes in quick game. They need to find that in this year to be where they want to get to. And I don't know if that means more Dragon Lion, coach. But maybe it does. But they need to get that going because he's shown he can just be one step ball out and go for it because he's taken that step in terms of accuracy. I mean, you were talking about 70% completion. Ben Johnson said that's the mark he wants Caleb Williams to get to. Well, Jordan Love is there on these quick throws, 90% leads the NFL. I mean, that's crazy.
But that kind of goes against what we want though, Peter, right? We want, like I've said on this show before, and I don't know. But there's got to be a healthy balance. There's got to be at least the threat of going deep. On Sunday it was for Romeo Dobbs.
Take 5 runs and make them quick passes. That the old extension of the running game.
Correct.
Yep. And if you can do that, I'm happy because I think they're going to take their shots. That's just who Matt LaFleur is. It's who Jordan Love is. Take 5 runs a game and make them slants, hitches, run stick, run jerk, like whatever it is. Don't run Hank, but you could
love Hank. It's one of those plays that you never run enough of.
Okay, before we get to break, what the hell is Hank?
Hooks.
Coach?
Hooks. Okay, so here's the beauty of this thing. If you could just picture,
why not just call it hooks? What's Hank? I mean,
I don't know. It's just Hank. And here's a signal for it too. That's it right there. It's Hank. But here's what it is. If you were to look like at a pair of die, right, and look at the number at the 5, right?
Okay.
So you got a guy right in the middle. That's always going to be the tight end. The backs are going to be the low dots, and the X and the Z are going to be the high dots. That's exactly what I look. And a lot of teams call it the dice concept, but that's the Hank. But here's the thing. Let me ask you this, Brandon. You're the play caller, and it's sick.
Matthew Golden, go deep every play. Go ahead.
Okay, well, hang on. It's 2nd and 4. 2nd and 4. Do you care on first down how you got it? If it's a slant or a stick or a run? If you're running for 6 yards, you're going, that's pretty damn good. But how come you don't feel the same if we just threw the stick route, Brandon?
Because I want to see more explosive plays out of this offense.
But I'm just saying 2nd and 4, right? If you're just
it's great. It's great.
Staying on time.
It's great. But again,
the problem is they're not though, coach. They're not averaging 6 yards. Like the run game has just not been there, and so I'd kind of like to see them use the passing game to loosen up these opposing defenses. So let's do this, Brandon. We're not against a break, are we?
We are, but that's okay.
What I was going to say is, coach, this is the Steelers team. Let's save it. Sorry, let's save it. It's too much.
Speaking of this, we'll make this segment. We'll keep that for your extra points, both of you. But we did mention Sunday. Things got a little heated in our group chat. Peter took a low blow at me. Maybe I sent some text.
Oh, come on.
I regret, but is it all my fault? We share those details right after this.
I'm Cody Rourke from Locked On Broncos, and this episode is brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. This is Peloton's most advanced equipment yet, giving you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or you're cross-training with your favorite instructors like Alex Toussaint. It's training reimagined to make your workout more personal. Peloton is built for breakthroughs. With features that help you plan, stay motivated, and hit peak performance, you can let yourself run, lift, flex, and go while Peloton handles all the rest. Plus, Peloton IQ provides real-time strength coaching, tracking your progress and suggesting weights that challenge you so you can get stronger. Plus, the new movement tracking camera, it counts your reps and corrects your form in real time, making sure every rep is safer and smarter. So, let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
Each week, we have a segment called Into the Group Chat. We bring you into the things that we discuss literally in our group chat. If you're watching YouTube, I'm literally pulling up the group chat. And this was on Sunday at 4:39 p.m. Central Standard Time, to be exact. I believe this was in the second half. The Packers had just kicked the field goal going into halftime, come out of the break, and they go 3 and out. They punt the ball away, and I believe Arizona went down and scored a touchdown. And I said in the group chat, and I'm going to read it for you guys. I'm going to be quite frank. This is me sending this to the group chat. I said, as I said, going back a couple of shows before, this team sucks. My C grade may have been a little too high. Peter, this is where I told you guys, he took a little shot at me. He says, you guys know I host Locked On Brewers podcast. Subscribe wherever you get podcasts. He says, you also said the Brewers were beating the Dodgers. Unnecessary low blow from Peter. But I said it's not my fault. And here's why. We're bringing you into the group chat because you talked about it. The NFC North right now is a bloodbath. And it feels like it's going to get worse before it gets better for the Packers. Packers currently 4-1-1 ahead of the Lions and the Bears. But the Lions look like they're back. The Bears look a lot better, and their schedule really doesn't tighten up until about a month or so from now. Was I wrong to give this team a C grade based on the conversation we were just having about this offense and not getting ahead of the sticks and kind of shooting themselves in the foot early on, especially in games where maybe they kind of play with their food a little bit? I don't know, because I'm a little worried about this NFC North, Peter. It's starting to tighten up. I'm watching what's happening down in Chicago. We saw what Ben Johnson did in Detroit. He goes to Chicago. They start 0-2. They've won 4 freaking games in a row. Maybe against teams that they aren't very good, the Raiders and the Commanders, 2 of those. But I'm getting a little worried because I'm not seeing my team click on all cylinders yet. So as I said in the group chat, maybe this team doesn't suck. Maybe that was a little bit hyperbolic at the time, but I am a little worried about this division for the Packers.
So I'm not, because the Bears are frauds and the Vikings have soft benched their rookie quarterback, and they're going to try and trot out Carson Wentz for as long as humanly possible. So those 2 teams, I'm just like, those games are going to be tough because they're always going to be tough, and the Bears are better than they've been. I think that they're 4-2 or whatever their record is pretty fake right now. The Lions are really good. We knew the Lions were going to be really good. The Packers have already banked a win against that team. I am empathetic to your point that you wish they looked like a Super Bowl team again. And like, this would be a great week to show it, right, Jags? Like, prime time against a really good football team, go show that you are also a really good football team. And I don't know if you heard it, but I loved hearing Xavier McKinney after the game say, he used the phrase, this is why I know you would love it. This was not, we know what the standard is, and this is not the standard. Mm-hmm. And he said, like, against better teams, this is not going to work, which directly implies that the Cards are not a very good team, which you also rarely hear veteran players say, because it's like, those are your peers. That's disrespectful to do that. But he was like, no, like, we're better than this. And we haven't played better than this. And I want to hear players say that. I want to hear players be honest. I hate and I know Brandon is with me. I hate we're fine. Like there's never a problem. Like, we're going to get it fixed. We're going to get it. I hate that. Be for real. Say, we know this isn't good enough. Tell me, this isn't good enough. Whether you can fix it or not, I don't know. But I want to hear from you that this isn't good enough. As someone from the outside, I want to hear players say that. I want to hear coaches say that.
Well, you know what? We talked about this before. When players start echoing, they didn't just get that. They're hearing that from their coaches.
Right.
They're hearing that from their coaches.
Yep.
Like, hey, guys, we won the game. And a lot of times what happens when you win games, a lot of stuff just gets swept underneath the rug. And it doesn't come out until you lose a ball game or lose one that you shouldn't have lost. And then that stuff comes to but it's good to hear players parroting what the coaches are saying, because everybody's on the same page then.
The
Tucker
Matt
Kraft
LaFleur
also
said that, actually. He said specifically, winning is a deodorizer. And we don't want that. Yeah. We want to be able to say, because he was asked, and I appreciated this question being asked, and I appreciated his honest answer. Like, can you coach these guys a little bit harder when you have a sloppy win like this, when you don't play your best, but you win? And Matt kind of smiled and he was like, yeah, I can. And I've always said this. coaches secretly love winning a game where the team doesn't play great because it means you can coach them hard the next week.
Yeah. I tell you what,
go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Brandon.
No, I was going to bounce off Peter's point. Tucker Kraft also echoing some of those same thoughts that Xavier McKinney did as well, Peter. So that's two leaders in your locker room saying the same, verbatim, almost the same thing.
So, Parcells used to go the opposite of Peter. He said, you know what, you're the most hard on them when you win, and not so when they're losing. That's just a different philosophy, because a lot of times people get complacent because, again, that stuff was swept underneath the rug, when you're winning games. So that was just a different philosophy that Parcells used.
Coach, we're going into.
I don't think LaFleur ever takes his foot off the gas. I just think with a young team, you can get a little bit of complacency. I think we saw complacency last year at times.
I think he took his foot off the gas in Dallas.
I mean in terms of like coaching these guys hard. I don't think he's ever like, this team is not very good. We're not gonna bring it this week. I don't think he ever lets up on them. My understanding of Coach LaFleur is he's a hard ass at all times.
Really?
Just in terms of like the standard is the standard. And if you don't play to the standard, I'm going to air you out in film sessions and like
on the sideline.
Yeah. I know he seems like a pretty boy coach. I have this running bit with Grant Bills, who was on our squad show. What was it, 2 weeks ago?
Yep.
When you couldn't make it, like if he looked like Dan Campbell, they would have already built the statue in Green Bay. But because he looks like he belongs in a J. Crew catalog, people think he's got a different personality than he does. He is an old school inside. He looks just like Coach Mack. Like he is an old school football coach. And he just looks like he's a new school football coach. He's really not.
Yeah. I tell you this, to be head coach at the Packers, you got to be inside. You got to be.
I think you're right.
That's just the way it is.
Coach,
at what point is this team who they are, right? Like we're going into week 8. Christian Watson potentially coming back this week. That could be a big boost for the Packers offense because when he's been in the lineup versus when he's not been in the lineup for Green Bay, literally completely different team, So that could be a big boost for this team. Obviously, Jaden Reed we'll see later, probably in November. But at what point, coach, is this is who they are, and they're going to be a little inconsistent. They're going to have some fast starts and allow teams to get back into games. I mean, at what point are we just looking at this Packers team as you are who you are at this point in the season?
I think that we saw how good they could be, especially the first 2 weeks, because that was the expectation for everybody, right? How good can the Packers be, especially against like the Lions, the first game of the season? I think that their personality, I think what they are. I think they know who they are. And I think that defensively, if you get Parsons going and Gary and Quay and all those guys going all in the same direction and getting some turnovers, I think you're going to get a little bit more lopsided scores.
I'm writing about this for the Leap. As you're listening to this in your podcast feed, it'll have been on Thursday. The
newsletter you should all subscribe to, by the way.
Yes. I was asked on radio today how concerned I was about the defense, and I said not, because if you look at their pass rush metrics, to your point, Coach, they are top 5 in pressure rate. They are top 5 in pass rush win rate. They are top 10 in pressures when they don't blitz, and yet they are 22nd converting pressures to sacks. So they're pressuring the quarterback a ton, but they're not finishing the play. I don't think that's like, if it was just Rashawn Gary and Lucas Van Ness on the edge and Kenny Clark in the middle, I would go, well, that's because they're getting late pressure and those pressures are not really pressures, whatever. That's not happening now. I think that is going to regress in a positive way where, like, if they keep playing at the level that they're playing at, they're going to start taking down quarterbacks. And you need those. We've talked about this, guys. You need those negative splash plays on defense because teams are going to dink and dunk you to death. They are going to death by 1,000 paper cuts you. And you need to get those negative plays to get you into 2nd and 17, or it's 2nd and 4, coach, to your 2nd and 4 point. And now it's 3rd and 10 because you got a sack or because you got a negative play. I think that stuff is going to even out. And we saw it, 6 sacks on Sunday. It could have been 8 or 9, right? Like Jacoby Brissett wiggled out of a couple. Not everyone is going to be able to. He's 6'4", 240. Like, he's a big, strong dude. Most quarterbacks not going to be able to do that.
Sacks are great, but I'll tell you what really is the hits a quarterback takes. You may not get a sack, but if you're getting hits, that's cumulative through the course of a game. Because at some point, the quarterback's going to look at the offensive line and go, guys, just give me a little bit more time. But sometimes the hits can be more beneficial than the sack itself, if that makes sense.
I know there's a lot of worry, and I know we're up against the break, but I'm bringing up another question because as you guys are talking, I have another one that came to my mind. I know we talk a lot about this defense, and obviously Micah Parsons should have been 4 sacks. He had the 3 sacks on Sunday. First time he's done that in his career in a single game. We know what Rashawn Gary can do. The biggest question with this defense has been the lack of turnovers. Is there such thing as just bad turnover luck on the defensive side of the ball? Because it could be a ball bouncing the wrong way. It could be a ball being tipped the wrong way, but it feels like, and we saw it a little bit on Sunday, right? Marvin Harrison Jr. catches that slant. He takes one more half step. It's a forced fumble. The Packers recover. Is it just bad luck at this point that they just haven't generated those turnovers and those are something that will eventually come?
No, I don't think it's bad luck. It'll come. It'll come because I guarantee you those guys are emphasizing that every single day.
They have been. It was a big thing in training camp, right, Peter?
Sure. And they were a lot better last year, right? They had a ton of turnovers last year.
Yeah. Xavier McKinney had like 8 interceptions in the first 3 weeks, whatever it was. It was insane.
So here's what they got to do, because again, this becomes cumulative, is creating turnovers. What does that mean? Stripping it, punching it out, winning the 50-50 ball, pressure on the quarterback, strip sack, all those stuff. Missed assignment, the back gets blown up in the backfield. So they have to create turnovers, and they will. It'll come. I'm positive it will.
Each week we discuss many things on this program, but unfortunately over the span of an hour, we just don't get to everything. And there are a few things that we failed to get to, but what did we miss on today's show? Peter Bukowski, Coach Jags, and myself bring our extra points after this. Today's Locked On Packers midweek squad show is brought to you by Game Time. The NFL season is back, and honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting those tickets, they can be a hassle between queues, login screens, and prices jumping at checkout. It's simply frustrating, and this is why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. It's fast, it's easy, and it's backed by the Game Time guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all the fees you see are actually included. So the price you see is what you're actually going to pay. And what I personally love about this app, guys, if you want to go to a Bucks game, a Brewer game, a Packer game, you go to the app, you select the seat, you select the section, you can actually see where you're sitting. You can get a view of the field, of the stadium, wherever you're at. You can actually see it on the app. So download the app today, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNFL. You get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go right now. Download the Game Time app today. We talked about Aaron Rodgers. We talked about Jordan Love. We talked about head coach Matt LaFleur, the emotions, the defense, the lack thereof turnovers. But there's times we just don't have enough time to get to everything. So, Peter, I'll begin with you. Your extra point on the midweek squad show as we get set for the Green Bay Packers against the Pittsburgh Steelers. What you got this week?
So the Pittsburgh Steelers play one of the highest single high safety rates in the NFL. They also play one of the highest man coverage rates in the NFL. The Packers, the first 2 weeks, played some man coverage teams, the Lions and the Commanders, and those were their highest pre-snap motion rates of the season, Coach, using the pre-snap motion and alignments to create favorable matchups against man coverage. I think you will see a ramp up in that this week. That is definitely something to keep an eye on because Matt LaFleur is so good at scheming guys open against man coverage. And with Christian Watson back, even more toys to play with here. That's just something that I have sort of, circled to watch here. How they use the pre-snap motion. Do they get a little cute with some of the stuff that they're doing that way? I think that's one way you see them try and negate this front for Pittsburgh is create, dissension in the decision-making of the linebackers and the second and third level defenders.
Yeah. I'll tell you, they used to use wide receiver motion to determine whether it was zone or man.
Yeah.
And I see the Packers are always using the back now, right? He goes out about maybe 3 yards outside.
They did that on the 4th and 2 play with James.
They've done it all season,
yeah.
But that's just a different way of doing it. And if they're playing all that man coverage, I would look for the tight ends to be big again in the seams.
These
And
linebackers cannot play with those tight ends.
No. And if they're going to play all that single high, that means they're trying to stop the running game as well, right? And they're just daring you to throw the ball down the field. And then there's your boy Golden, Brandon, getting the ball on deep throws and take shots. Why not? If it's a one-on-one and he's the fastest guy in the combine, throw it up there, see what he can do.
Let me just piggyback on that, Brandon, and then give yours.
No, go for it.
Tucker Kraft and Matthew Golden are each in the top 4 in EPA per target this season. So they are 2 of the most efficient. And when you throw them the ball, good things happen.
To piggyback off of Coach, once again, Matthew Golden, this is off the Packers dope sheet, averaging a league high 23.6 yards receiving on 3rd and 4th down. 189 of his 249 receiving yards have come on those downs as well, the money downs 3rd and 4th, which leads all rookies this season. That includes Emeka Egbuka down in Tampa Bay, who is running away right now with probably the rookie of the year. My extra point is, once again, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but I want to see this Packers offense get Matthew Golden involved. Now, we will see, I think we'll see Christian Watson. If you hear him talk at his locker, it seems like this could be the week, although I don't know how the Packers feel about that turf in Pittsburgh, but we'll see what happens. It's a completely different ball club when Christian Watson is on the field. You're talking about a 6.5 point swing when he's on versus when he's not on as far as points per game. So look for Christian Watson in this one, which should you guys open up the door for this offense to get Matthew Golden the ball. I said it before, feed this offense through Tucker Kraft and Matthew Golden. The Packers did not do it. They started it in Arizona, right? The first 3 passes, I believe, 3 of the first 5 passes were to Matthew Golden. You guys, after that, he had one catch, one target in the second half. And it was a big one, right? It was that crosser. Coach, you talked about it in the post-game show. It was a big one. He almost scored a touchdown at that one. They eventually did score a touchdown. It led to a Packers touchdown. Once you get those 2 guys involved, what happened when you got Tucker Kraft involved in the second half? You put up points, right? You scored 21 points in the second half after you started getting Tucker Kraft involved. To me, I'm not here to question Matt LaFleur. He's better at his job than I'm better at mine. But to me, I look at this and I go, it's really simple. You got a really, really dynamic tight end. You can maybe George Kittle, maybe Trey McBride. Other than that, nobody in the NFC right now better than Tucker Kraft. Feed that guy the ball. And when I look at Matthew Golden, you guys, and I know he's a rookie, and I know everybody's like, well, he's not Jamar Chase. He's not Justin Jefferson. He's not Emeka Egbuka down in Tampa Bay. We don't know that because we haven't seen him given those chances yet. He had 4 targets, and he had 4 receptions, and he caught every one. I want to see this Packers offense, especially if that means Christian Watson is back. That's going to give Matthew Golden, another guy who can absolutely burn on the field, so many more opportunities. To your point, Coach, take those chances. I know they did one with Romeo Doubs against the Cardinals, and whether it was the wrong route or whether it was Jordan Love with the missed throw, whoever, we have not seen that from Matthew Golden. We saw it in Dallas, right? And we don't know who ran the wrong route between Dontavian Wicks, who, by the way, probably won't play Sunday, and Matthew Golden. Matthew Golden came down with it. I want to see this offense have more explosive plays. Hopefully with Christian Watson back, that means more explosive plays because they're very, very explosive. You talk about top of the NFL last year with Christian Watson in the lineup, but I want to see more of Matthew Golden in this Packers offense. You spent the first round draft pick on him, 22nd overall. Feed him the football, and I think good things will happen if that happens, especially on Sunday, but going forward for the rest of the season.
Yeah,
you saw it. You saw it in Washington. They took a couple different shots. They try to get Matthew Golden the ball. I mean, I think Matt LaFleur has used speed to beat man coverage in the past. And so if Pittsburgh's going to play man coverage, they're going to try and be physical at the line. I think they're going to put Matthew Golden and Christian Watson in the slot and say, watch this as they run away from you. It's one of the reasons, Coach, that I don't love Hank is because I like routes where receivers run to space, not just turn around and stop. And so though against man coverage, especially, that's what I want to see the Packers do. Get some of those runaways because this is not a fast Steelers defense. This is a physical, hit you in the mouth Steelers defense. The Packers offense is fast. Press that advantage.
Yeah. Have you seen, you probably know Peter more. Does the Packers run mesh?
Yeah. They used to run it a ton.
Yeah, I had seen it this year.
They've been running it a little. They've been running it less for what I think Matt LaFleur's a little scarred what happened in 2020. The Buccaneers they played 2-man and they had every answer for mesh. They just snuffed out. But Golden caught that target you talked about, Brandon. That was on mesh, right? That crossing route was on mesh.
It was, yeah. Go ahead, Coach.
Yeah, I mean, getting Golden in the space, get the ball in his hands. If he's getting the ball out in whatever seconds you were talking about, Peter,
2.5,
get the ball in that guy's hands as fast as you can get it in there, and just see what he can do. Run after the catch. Pretty productive.
Around the horn, Peter, I'll start with you. You were pretty close last week with the Packers and the Arizona Cardinals, couple points off. What you got this week? Final score prediction for Week 8, Green Bay at Pittsburgh.
If I think the Packers are going to win, don't I have to predict them to score 27 points? Because that's
you do.
They're pretty good at that.
So I'm actually going to predict that the Steelers score 27 points, but I think the Packers are going to score 30 on this Pittsburgh team on the road. I think this is the week this offense clicks. I think Christian Watson changes, as you said, Brandon, so much about the explosive nature of this offense. I think this offense is going to look really good against the defense that, by the way, in yards per drive and plays per drive, this is the worst defense in the NFL. That a Pittsburgh defense being like that is crazy. I just think that this Packers offense is going to get the things that they want in this game. The last time we saw them go on the road and play a defense this bad, they scored 40 points. So
you mentioned that.
The Cowboys are worse than the Steelers. Let me be clear about that. But 30-27.
Yeah. Remember you said that Favre lit it up at Minnesota against the Packers.
You did.
Yeah. I think Aaron's gonna have a big game too, guys. But
that's why it's 30-27 instead of something. Yeah, something.
All right, I'm gonna say 31-28. How do you like that?
Okay. Damn, Price has righted me.
I'm gonna go.
I really did.
I'm gonna go against both of you guys, and I don't know. I don't actually firmly believe this.
Here comes Eeyore.
No. You're I'm gonna surprise you a little bit. I don't know if this is gonna surprise you guys, and I don't want to. I hope this surprises me because I don't know if I firmly believe it in my heart, but I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have a bad game on Sunday, and I don't think so. And I think it's because he's going to be out of his element, and we know how Aaron is, right? He's very meticulous about who he throws to, when he throws to them. I think you're going to see some throws where he's pushing the ball in spots that he normally doesn't, and I think, Coach, to your point, the Packers are be on the receiving end of some of those, and I think he's going to throw a couple of interceptions. I think the Packers offense settles in on this one. Their offensive line feels like they're finally close to health, right? Zach Tom, no more oblique, but it's a back. He was limited at practice. You're gaining some continuity on that offensive line. I know Calais Campbell had that rep against Jordan Morgan that we should delete from the internet, but I do think that you're starting to develop some continuity on that offensive line. I think you get Christian Watson back. It's a completely different offense. I think the Packers win this one. I'll go 31-17. And again, I don't know if I may be talking myself into that, guys, but I do feel like it's going to be a game where Aaron Rodgers, maybe I don't want to say tries too hard, but is pushing the ball in spots that he normally doesn't, and the Packers will benefit from it. And I think they have a couple of turnovers early.
I think he's going to find out where number 21 is. Aaron's going to know where number 21 is.
And I think it's going to be a bounce back game because number 21 is going to likely be lined up against a receiver that I think he matches up with pretty well in as far as physicality goes.
I agree.
Yeah. Still, he's got to win the 50-50 ball.
We all got the Packers winning. Friendly reminder, the Locked On Packers Squad Show and Daily Show free and available wherever you guys get audio podcasts, as well as over on YouTube. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up, hit that notification bell. For Peter Bukowski, Coach Jags, and myself, we will sign off for now. Remember, our guy Peter, all week, tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, after the game on Sunday, he's got you covered. Make sure you tune in. Make sure you listen. Make sure you subscribe. After the game, after the final whistle, Peter will go live for 30 minutes. After Peter's done, you get all three of us for an extra 60 minutes, an hour and a half of Packers post-game talk right here on Locked On Packers. Thanks to each and every one of you for tuning in. Thank you for making Locked On Packers part of your day each and every day. And as always, stay Locked On Packers.